So in this video, I'm going to talk about what to expect from a shy cat when you first bring them into your home. Most of the shy cats that we get have come from living on the streets as stray cats. A lot of them were born on the streets and have lived there their entire lives, and so being with you is often going to be the first time that they've really been inside and around people. You have to keep in mind that whatever the background of these cats are, they've been through a lot recently, they've been moved around a lot, and so it's a big transition for them, and it can be quite traumatic for them to be suddenly in a very new environment with new people, especially for the cats that have never been around people before, because they don't really know what to expect from us, and their instincts are to believe that we're going to do something to harm them and that they shouldn't trust us. So your job, of course, as a foster parent is to help the cat that you're fostering realize that they don't have to be afraid of people. The first few days are often the hardest because this is when they're just settling into your home. Some of the typical behaviors that you'll see from shy cats are things like hissing, growling, swatting, attempting to bite, cowering, trembling, hiding, running away when approached, trying to escape the room in whatever way they can. And that's why it's really important that you exercise a lot of caution when entering and exiting the safe room that you have the cat in, because you don't want them to get out of that safe room. And it's also why you want to keep your windows closed, even if you have screens in them. You might also see their pupils become dilated, or they might try to avoid eye contact with you. You might see their ears kind of flatten or turn sideways or backwards. And some of the cats will actually pretend to be asleep in hopes that you'll just leave them alone if they show zero interest in you. These are all very normal behaviors, and you just have to keep in mind that they're behaving in these ways not because they have anything against you personally. It's nothing personal. It's really just that they have been through a lot recently. This is all very new for them, and they're pretty stressed out. They can often sound and look threatening when they're behaving defensively, but these cats are usually more bark than bite, and they really don't want to hurt you, and they're not going to hurt you unless you're putting them in a position where they feel so threatened that they think they have no other option. So, for example, if you're kind of hovering over them or cornering them, or if you're trying to pet them with your hands too early on, or you're approaching them too quickly, or making a lot of sudden noises and movements when you're right around them, or if you're trying to kind of grab at them and pick them up. Swatting you or biting you is not something that they really want to do, because that involves having to come towards you and make contact with you, and these cats really actually want to be as far away from you as possible. And so if you're sitting across the room from them, they're really not going to come running out at you and attack you, because they don't want to have to come that close to you. And so biting or swatting is really a last resort for when they feel like they have no other way to scare you off. The main things to keep in mind, especially for the first few days, is that most of them won't be comfortable being touched right away, especially by your hands. Usually you'll have some more success with a back scratcher, but even then you might want to give them a couple days to settle in before you start trying, because you have to keep in mind that many of these cats have never been touched before and have never been around people before, so that's a very scary thing for them. A lot of them won't be comfortable playing in front of you or walking around in front of you. They'll tend to stay in one spot, and often they'll want to stay more hidden. A lot of them won't even want to eat in front of you or use the litter box in front of you, and so they'll tend to do those things at night when it's really quiet and dark. And many of them will be so nervous that they won't really eat that much for the first day or so, because their systems are going to be feeling a little bit off when they're feeling so stressed out. You do want to make sure to monitor their food and water intake and their litter box output, because you want to make sure that they're eating and drinking and using the litter box. And if you have any concerns about any of these things, talk to your foster coordinator and they can help you through that to make sure the cat is as healthy as possible. For the first few days, you'll want to give the cat a lot of time alone in the room just so they can get used to the space and get used to the sounds of your home. Sit in the room for a few periods throughout the day just so they can get used to your presence and kind of learn that you're not going to do anything to hurt them. You're just sitting in the room and, nothing bad is going to happen to them. You can even just start by sitting across the room from them and, do some work, read a book or something so that they don't feel like you're staring at them, and they can kind of just observe you from a distance, and that kind of helps them learn to relax in front of you. After they've settled in for a few days, that's when you'll have to actually dedicate more time to interacting with them and socializing with them, but I'm going to talk about all of that in my next video. We're always looking for more fosters who are willing to work with these special cats, because there are so many of them out there that are waiting to be rescued. Many other organizations aren't really willing to work with these kinds of shy and defensive cats, and they'll just deem them as unadoptable, and as a result they'll often euthanize them even when they're perfectly healthy cats. At EHS, we believe that all these cats deserve to be saved and that all of them are adoptable, but they all do come around eventually, and they all deserve that chance.